What is going on, gamers? Today I want to talk about what I think the best range unit type is in Rome 2. There are 3 range types, which include Slingers, Archers, and Javelinmen. For starters, I will give each of them their own rating based off their stats and usability. So the green rating is good, yellow rating is average, and the red rating is bad. So we'll start with Slingers. Slingers do have 150 range, that's bone stock, and they are a best-in-class range. What I mean by best-in-class is best over all other ranged infantry, and this can actually be increased further. Damage is usually about 20 to 30, and it has low armor piercing, so anything with mid to high armor, its chances are Slingers aren't very effective. Ammunition mount is good, you usually get 25 plus volleys, which is also best in class. The ammunition type is stones, so it's pretty bad, and the melee potential is also bad, so any 1v1s against almost everything, depending on the Slingers, like there's like the road Slingers, for example, which are relatively decent, but just in general, Slingers aren't very good in melee combat. The skirmish capabilities, so this is against another range unit. One of the nicest things about Slingers is their unit amount, and they have quicker reload speed as well, so they're usually about average to good against most range. When it comes to battles, they are good in open field battles, and since they have a little bit bigger unit cards than some range, they need a little bit more open space, so open field battles is really when they excel. Average in minor settlements, because there's usually like a wall or terrain, or there's always something that's going to interfere with the range, so you have to reposition them. And bad in major, so walled settlements. When you're using your Slingers, they can't actually volley their stones over walls, so you have to actually reposition them to either like a very specific spot, or you have to bring all your melee infantry in the settlements, and by the time that's already done, half the battle is over, so they're already losing half of their potential. Next up, we have the Archers. So the Archers come with a bone stock of 125 range. Some of them do start with 150, but for the vast majority is 125. The damage is 35 plus, and it has the same low armor piercing, but the little bit extra damage makes it pretty decent against mid-armored unit. The ammunition amount is 15, so average. The ammunition types, which is good. So you usually start out with 2 plus, which is usually the standard shot and flame shot, and depending on the unit you actually use, it could get more like quick reload, for an example. But the vast majority of the time, you won't use half of these, like whistling shot, that's for morale. Poison shot, also not very good as well. I play mostly on legendary, so it's basically just flame shot for elephants or towers. The quick reload is actually decent. Precision shot's also decent, but mainly heavy shot though. That's going to be good against close quarter range battles. Melee potential is also bad as well. You do have like the Syrian archers, which are not too bad, armored ones, but they're overall still pretty bad across the board. The skirmisher capabilities is average against most range. It's pretty much if you have less armor than whoever you're fighting, you usually lose. It really depends on many factors like research, who you're fighting, etc. Slingers are overall a better choice against 1v1s over the Archers. And now for battles. These are currently the best in class in my opinion, because they're able to arc their arrows over things, like over walls, over other units. So they actually get the most potential out of battles. And finally, we have the Javelinmen or the missile infantry. The range is not very good. It's about 80 plus. The damage on them, however, is actually really good because they have high armor piercing. Some of them have a little bit lower base damage, like 30, but some of them actually have a little bit more. The nice thing about the armor penetration is good for the heavily armored units like Spartan Hoplites, for an example. The ammunition amount, though, is actually the worst. It's about 7, and I think the pick peltists have 10, so they use their ammo pretty quick. The ammunition types is basically just your standard regular javelins and flame javelins, so only 2 types. The melee potential is pretty bad in a lot of them. It's the same thing like across the board. It's like very specific units are actually decent. The pick peltists can win against weak units, at least from what I've used, and the skirmisher capabilities are the best in class because they just do a ton of damage just across the board. So they'd win basically any 1v1, mind if they were in range. And battles, they are very good in open field, but average in all other settlement battles because they still lack that ability to arc their javelins over, just like arrows that can be arced over. But overall, it's pretty well average. My overall pick would be Archers because Archers have gotten me out of jams so many times, and their ability to arc arrows over buildings and over units makes them far more superior over everything else. Slingers are the next one because they do have good starting range. They do have shields, which is a plus against skirmishing with other range units, but overall, I still don't find them as good as Archers. And Javelinmen are last on the list because of their ammo. They do a ton of damage, but then they're basically useless after that. The Slingers and Archers get better value over time, which battles aren't usually lasting 2 minutes, usually about 5-10 minutes. And Javelins, well, usually within the first minute, you use all their ammo, and then they're basically useless. Anyways, guys, this is my opinion on range units. Thanks for watching. Peace out.